will do that as well. I had a lot of memorable times with this elderly people. I thought they were remarkable and I should tell their stories. This is actually for the junior secondary.
But it's also a lot of fun for adults.
Yes,
I mean, I read it and I enjoyed reading it. Maybe because it reminded me of a lot of my own personal experiences back then. There's this thing you wrote about Agbalumo. There's Agbalumo story.
Yes, the story of Agbalumo.
Agbalumo is in English.
It's the African star apple. What the Igbos call Udara or Udala. This is in summary.
What's the background story?
In summary, this is the story of a boy who grew up in a polygamous home. His mother died earlier, and he was left in the care of the stepmother, who had to raise him alongside her own children. But she was mean to the young boy. She made her do most of the chores while her own children had it, smooth. So one day the boy was always despairing, and one day his dead mother appeared to him. Now that's exploring also the Yoruba mythology there and trying to make children be aware that such a thing exists in the Yoruba culture and tradition. So the mother appeared to him and gave him some kind of orange and asked him to plant the seed. And the young man called Mimbe, Olong Mimbe, shortened to Mimbe, followed the instruction, planted the seed. But when you plant an orange tree, it takes like 4 years to grow and bear fruits, but this one did in 1 week. And so the boy started taking from the fruits of the tree, and he stopped being morose, he started looking healthy. But of course, that's to teach children that when you take fruits, you're healthy. So then one day, people were wondering how come he's looking this, and then one day, Alumo, who happens to be his stepbrother, found out that he was eating something on a tree. And so Alumo went to the tree, tried to pluck the fruits of the tree, and each time he tried, the tree grew taller. Each time he tried, the tree grew taller. And then he decided to climb the tree. As he was making to climb the tree, Mimbe got to the sports and then warned him, "Come down from my tree. Come down from my tree." But Alumo didn't listen to him, and so Mimbe started to sing.
Any adult would read that and so many other stories here and say to himself or herself, "Hey, I remember that,
Exactly, but that's what the book does to you as an adult. When you read it, you remember that you used to buy Tamfiri and Ofio in school. If you grew up in the western part of Nigeria, you remember that you used to buy Anwe. That's the black velvety thing. It's a seed. And you find that a lot of those words I used in Yoruba, some of the words I retained in Yoruba for a purpose, because it's also part of the cultural renaissance that we're talking about. So what I did was to write those words in the glossary. So you find that young ones who read this can go back to the back of it and find out what they
the meanings of those words.
Yes.
I can see here, Kolo. I was speaking to Durodola, Sonny, who wrote a book on financial intelligence for kids, and I had to bring this, to show. And this is part of what our parents taught us. What happened to all this?
Precisely why I've written this book, because I thought one day we all just might wake up and find that we hadn't done what we ought to have done for our children. And I read somewhere that the death of an old woman is like a burning library. Because old people are elderly people rather, are full of wisdom, full of knowledge. Our people in Yoruba land say, you may have current apparels, but you may not have rags like the old woman, because she's used a lot of those things you're thinking are really trendy and all of that. She's been trendy once, she's used all of those things. So they have the experience, they have the knowledge. So if we're not documenting, we're not sharing, it's suddenly not cool to speak your language. So what is cool? You know, these are things that we're gradually losing. And those are things you find here as well, pretty much like Kolo. I remember when I was, you know, holidaying with my grandparents, my grandma, for instance, she made me buy this, and you find Kolo here as well, because she was teaching me how to tithe and how to save money, you know, not spend everything you have. I remember the first time she asked me to go and get something for her in the market, and I gave the market, the seller of whatever I was going to buy, the money with my left hand. She scolded me pretty much that I didn't forget for the rest of my life, you know. And so I learned, it's not that I wasn't taught at home, but you know, Hillary Clinton said something that it takes a village to raise a child. It's sadly not so anymore. Anyway, your neighbors are telling you, don't touch my son, or they're going with their kids to school to say, please, Madam Teacher, you cannot beat this child. You cannot say this, you cannot. But indeed, it takes a village to raise a child. Some knocking here, some here, some there, and then a child is formed.
Fantastic. It's been great having you on the Channels Book Club. Thank you for coming.
Thank you so much. It's an honor to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Our book of the week is Memories of Grandma by Funke-Treasure Durodola. Memories of Grandma is Funke's recollections of an interesting childhood lived with vacations spent in her maternal grandparents' rural home. The book shows Funke's journey of cultural immersion in a world in which her grandma is the ever-willing teacher. This book has all the potential to become a classic childhood memoir. I hope you have enjoyed today's episode. You can always join us on any of our social media platforms displayed on your screen. My name is Olakunle Kasumo. Remember, one great book can change your life. Bye-bye.